Hello everyone, welcome to my escape. Today I'm actually going to start a series that I plan to do on this channel, and I'm calling it Rent Free. So it's gonna be a single book, a series, even just a scene, it doesn't matter. Something about a book that I have read it a while ago and it lives rent-free in my mind. So these aren't gonna be like my just read or like recommendation videos, because they might live rent-free in my mind for good or for bad reasons. But these are books that just stick with me. Whether they're a 5-star or a 2-star, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to start with The Bridge Kingdom. Do I love this series? Yes. Is it a great series? No. Did I rank this highly? No, not really. Does it live rent-free in my head and I think about it probably once a week? Yes. And have I thought about it probably once a week for the last year? Yes. Yes, I have. So this is a duology that a third book kind of just came out for it, and you're like, then it's not a duology. But it's like a standalone series now, it's what it's became. So the third book follows a different set of characters that you get introduced to in the second one. But for this video, I'm just gonna talk about the original duology following Lara and Arin. So The Bridge Kingdom, followed by the Traitor Queen. I will say, in this one, there's gonna be light spoilers, okay? I'm not gonna spoil any big plot points or the ending or anything like that. I will give like vague opinions about stuff like that, but I am going to spoil one scene that's like 40 pages into the first book. It's just funny, but it's not gonna be like a plot spoiler for you. So I'll link it down in the cards below. If you don't want any spoilers whatsoever, you can skip that, but frankly, that's my favorite part of this video, so you shouldn't skip it. Anyways, let's get into it. Brief rundown of what the Bridge Kingdom is. I'm just gonna read the back because I love it. Lara has only one thought for her husband on their wedding night. I will bring your kingdom to its knees. All right, say less. I'm already hooked. I'm already invested. A princess trained from childhood to be a lethal spy, Lara knows that the Bridge Kingdom represents both legendary evil and legendary promise. The only route through a storm-ravaged world, the Bridge Kingdom controls all trade and travel between the lands, allowing its ruler to enrich himself and deprive his enemies, including Lara's homeland. It's personal, guys. It's personal. So when she is sent as a bride under the guise of fulfilling a treaty of peace, Lara is prepared to do whatever it takes to fracture the defenses of the impenetrable Bridge Kingdom. There's like other stuff, but that's all I need. That's literally all I need. Lethal princess, arranged marriage, I'm going to topple your kingdom and bring it to its knees. So if you're confused about why I picked it up, that's why. I actually saw both of these on the used book site that I look at, and I had never seen these before. I picked them up in like February or something of last year. So it was like just after I'd read From Blood and Ash, and I was like very much just into like the fantasy romance world. Saw this, looked it up on Goodreads. I was like, oh, that sounds fun. So I picked them both up, brought them home, immediately started this. And that brings us as to why I'm on the couch today and why this is a different atmosphere and a different vibe, because normally I have my books behind me and everything. This is where I read this book, right here. This was my spot. So I was like, why not film a video exactly where I remember reading the book, and then it will put me back into that mind space and trigger other memories. And because he is featured a lot in this video, verbally, my roommate sat right there on the other side of the couch and had to listen to me absolutely lose my mind over this book, because I do things verbally and out loud and I don't contain myself whatsoever. So props to him just sticking it through. So essentially what this world is multiple kingdoms. Okay, there's really 4 that are focused for now. There's, think like 1, 2, and then an island kingdom, and then 4. So like 1, 2, island kingdom 3, and then 4. There's a bridge that connects them all, but these 2 on this side are connected by land. So she's from one of the ones over here, desert-ish, think, country, and then he is from the middle of the island one that controls the bridge that runs all the resources across. Her nation's very impoverished, and she blames him because he has such high tariffs and everything on the goods crossing the bridge. First chapter, I was hooked. I was taken in. What happens in chapter 1 is just legendary. What a way to start a book. I was like, okay, okay, I'm here, okay, you have my attention. She just did what? I was so invested. And then about 2 chapters later, the author takes it back, and I can't stand it, okay? If you're gonna write something for the shock value, you have to live with the consequences, okay? You have to. You can't just get the shock value out of the situation, but then backtrack and be like, oh, but like that didn't actually happen. Or like, oh, but like it was a trick. It's like my least favorite thing in books, okay? I love like shock value and shock factor and just being blown away. And I hate when they undo that, okay? Because if I'm gonna be shocked, it better be for the right freaking reasons. Otherwise, I'm not gonna trust you in anything you write. So that made me very, very angry. But I continue to push through, you know, for another like, I don't know, 2 chapters. Like again, and the chapters are short. This is still very early on in the book. It's been a roller coaster. Then she has the meeting, right? So she meets her soon-to-be husband for the first time, and it is such a dramatic scene. They're like coming off the water, there's a storm, all like his kingdoms in like these creepy like animal masks but metal, and she's just like, sir, I grew up in the desert and this is a lot of jungle for me. But it is so fun to read, and the whole time in the back of my head my brain was just going dun 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 over and over and over again for this whole scene, because that was the vibe. And I was having it. I was absolutely having it. So then I'm hooked again. And I'm really loving like the world and the politicking and the character manipulation and the very clear indoctrination that's been happening and the political intrigue and all that. And then we get to the scene, which has made this book live rent-free in my head for over a year. Okay, on its own, it's not bad. I might think about it a couple of times, but it is this scene that has stuck with me for so long and so frequently, and I call it Leave the Towel. It's a very self-explanatory title. This is when my light spoilers are going to come in, because I'm going to describe this scene in detail. So if you haven't read it, or you don't want this scene described to you, you can jump to the next time. But this is the reason for this whole video. And again, it's not going to be like a plot spoiler or anything. It's very early on in the book, and it's just because I love the characters. If you have read this book, you understand the scene I'm talking about. I cackled. I was losing my mind. And again, I do things verbally and openly. And my poor roommate is sitting like right here getting basically he's getting this video live. The Leave the Towel scene is iconic. So again, she's here to murder him, to assassinate him, but she knows she has to get closer to the king first, because you can't just assassinate the king on day one. She's from an enemy kingdom. They're already suspicious of her. She needs to find a way to seduce him and isolate him so that she can then assassinate him. So she tries the like meek, mild approach, and he's not having it. So then she's like, that doesn't really match with his like jungle kingdom culture. I'm gonna go on the offensive, I'm gonna go on the aggressive, and I'm gonna have at it. So she like 180s her personality for this moment. Again, they haven't really had any other like connections or anything. It was like in her mind, her plan initially was to be like meek and mild. So you weren't really looking forward to that. And then she's like, JK, let me switch this up. So she's now in this jungle kingdom. She's been brought to like his main island, because the kingdom's made up of several islands. And she's at the castle, but don't think of it like a castle. Think of it like a large manor type thing. So she's been brought to her room. She's just woken up, and she's like, I'm gonna explore, I'm gonna snoop. So she opens a couple doors in her room. This bathing chamber is like open to the sky, again, all jungle, with this pool in the middle. So she's just kind of like chilling, and then she sees the king walk out in nothing but a towel. And he's like, who the fuck put you in that room? Like, of course, like his guards or sister or whatever were playing a joke on him. So he didn't know she was in there, but their rooms actually are connected through this bathing jungle thing. So he came out for a bath, saw her, and he was like, oh, why would they do this? He's already peeved. He's like, can you leave, please? I'm trying to bathe. And then the man has the audacity to go, unless you'd like to bathe first, because you're kind of disgusting. Again, these aren't direct quotes. This is like how I remember it. So it's generally like the vibe. But, sir, I'm sorry. At what point did she have the chance to bathe? You did not give her this opportunity. You literally took her from the desert, put her on a boat, brought her to the jungle, and we're like, all right, now we're gonna walk for like a day and a half. Of course she's disgusting. Uncalled for. So she looks at him and she's like sizing him up, and she's like, hey, what am I gonna do here? She's like, this is my moment. She just drops her dress. Bam, boom, gone. And he's like, And then she's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I am pretty gross right now. Let me just have a bath. So then she just walks buck-ass naked in front of this man's into the steam pool. The power move. The literal power move. The sheer, I don't even know if it's confidence, but the sheer buck nakedness of just pulling that move, I was stunned. I was stunned. And then when he like regains himself, he's kind of like snippy now because he's like, well, I was gonna have a bath and now I have to leave. So he turns around to leave, and she, again, buck naked in this now steam pool thing, goes, oh, actually, you know what? I'm unprepared to have this bath. Can you toss me your soap? So then the king has to turn around and throw his soap into the pool beside her. It gives me the vibes of like calling for a servant, you know, to like wait on her, except she's doing this with the king. So it was like a completely disrespect move, and I love it. And then the moment, as if this scene could get any better, you don't think so, but it does, because the king, now snippy, rolling his eyes, sassy, goes and turns around and starts walking back towards his room, and she calls after him again, makes the king stop again, makes the king turn around again, and hits him with, leave the towel too. The balls this woman has, incredible, literally incredible. Jaw dropped on the ground. I was like, so now the king, the literal king, in his own house, in his own place, has to take off his towel, so now he's buck-ass naked, so everyone's naked, and then he has to stomp like a toddler back to his room naked, as she just sits in the pool like, it's really nice in here, it's quite warm. Tell me there's a better scene to ever exist. I'm not confident there is. I've read this last year, and that scene still, whenever I'm like, oh, I could really do with some confidence right now, I'm like, pretend you're Lara. Not to the extent of like just dropping your clothes and calling a king to like basically wait on you. But like, if she can do that, I can do anything. Oh my God, I am obsessed. I'm in love. She won me over in that moment. I was like, I'm not putting this book down for anything. She is incredible. Imagine, it could not be me. Literally could not be me. But that is the scene. That is the leave the towel scene that lives rent-free in my head. It's why this series will never be forgotten by me. Why this series will remain on my shelf forever. Because it is so good. It is so good. It was so good. So, other good things about this book, I really do love the world she establishes. I think it's a good balance of dialogue versus political intrigue, or world building versus character development. I really did feel like I understood the politics in place. I understood the geography. I understood why the tensions existed that did. And I found it like very realistic, and like it could actually exist that way. So that I really did appreciate. There were true obstacles both to the couple, but also to like the world they wanted to create and the country they wanted to create. There were definitely differences between how both of them viewed life and both of them viewed how to rule. And the king's a lot more optimistic and has a brighter view on what the world could be, whereas Lara is definitely like that realist down to her soul. And that's primarily, again, because their upbringings were different. So I really did feel like I understood the characters. I understood the world they lived in. I understood the world that they understood, if that makes any sense. Like, I could see the world through both of their eyes and understand both of their perspectives on why they thought the world ran the way it does. I really did love that. I loved Lara, obviously. The king, I appreciated how he was as a ruler, his goals for the kingdom, his morality and his ethics I thought were really, really good. He respected boundaries, and we're all for a man who respects healthy boundaries, because yes, there's no like dubious consent or anything like that in here. Like, it is very much like he's like, this is arranged, we don't gotta be doing anything, like, we good, we're just gonna live our separate lives. And then obviously it doesn't stay that way, but it's not because he's like forcing anything, which I did really appreciate. However, the author loves to go back on things, to get that shock value and then go back, to do something and then go back. Like, just live with the consequences. If you want to do these big moves, live with the consequences, please. I hate it. I established that earlier. I hate it. And it wasn't just the beginning that she did this to us in, or whatever that sentence was supposed to be, it was all throughout the book. Consistently stuff would happen and then she'd take it back, and stuff would happen and then she'd take it back. And I'm like, please just let the story unfold. So I really didn't love that. I did really enjoy this one. Again, I do wish she had stuck with some things, and I think I like have built it up in my head and I've ignored some of the like take-backsies that the author did and just pretended the characters actually went through with things, and then I remembered them being those characters instead of like the willy-nilly ones. So I think I have built it up a little bit in my head, but that's fine. This one does end on a pretty big cliffhanger, so I was so excited that I had bought the second one at the same time because I picked this one up immediately. So then we have the Traitor Queen, second one in the duology, following the same couple, the same characters, everything. But this one picks up right after the end of the Bridge Kingdom, I think like a week later or something like that. I can't tell you much about this without spoiling the Bridge Kingdom. What can I say? I appreciated the angst in this one. It's a lot more angsty than the first one I found. Not necessarily angsty in a bad way, but there's emotions involved now, and there's still obstacles. There's different obstacles, but still obstacles to them being together. So that makes it like more angsty, because in the first one, there were obstacles to them being together, but they were still like establishing those feelings. So it wasn't really angst. It was more like a mutual friendship growing into more that you saw kind of develop. Whereas this one is like the feelings are there, but now they can't be together. So it's like angsty of like, what are we gonna do now? So this one does have like very different vibes. Even from the covers, you can pretty much tell that. Like blue, dark, jungly, you know, you can see like the landscape and everything in the background. This one is bright yellow, okay? That should tell you something, just saying. But the vibes in this one were really different. And like I said in the first one, I really did appreciate the world building, and this added to that, like absolutely. But she made me so attached in the first one to like the Bridge Kingdom that I was like feeling homesick when we were like in a new location. Even though I've never obviously been to the Bridge Kingdom, I was like, I miss it though. Like, I miss it. So I wanted more time in the Bridge Kingdom, but that's just tells you like how good the story was in the first book, was that I was so attached to a place I wanted us to go back there. This was good too. I did appreciate seeing them in a new location in a different setting. That was really interesting. The beginning, very interesting, very random. She plots this plan, and it's just the randomest plan ever, but I mean, it's Alara. So we love it, it's epic, all that. And then the book goes into kind of a boring stretch. There's not many like other characters, so you're following like a very small group, and I love dialogue and like different character dialogue. So when there's only two of them for a long time, I'm like kind of bored of reading like the same two people talk to each other all the time. But that didn't last that long. And then we went into the battle scene, which in my mind was the middle, I don't know, third of this book. It felt like 50 pages, but like 50 pages in a good way. Like it felt like this battle scene went on forever, but I also never wanted it to end, and I was living for it. I was literally lying like right here reading it, and I was like, and it was like giving me that like adrenaline rush. And my poor roommate was sitting there, and he was like, don't you have a big assignment due like tomorrow? And I was like, yes. But there was no way I could put this down in the middle of the battle scene to focus on anything else, let alone an assignment. So I just knew that I was gonna finish this book, and then I would have to stay up all night and do my assignment. And I was like, it will be worth it, because I am so immersed in this battle scene. I was like, I'll give up a night of sleep. I can't wait. Like, I cannot wait to know what happens next. I was living for it. And if you don't love battle scenes, it's not like it was 50 pages. And again, 50 pages is just like a number in my mind I literally pulled out of the air. Like, don't quote me on that. But a good stretch is the battle scene, but it's not like one battle where it's like sword clang, sword clang, sword clang, horse fall. No, okay? This was so good. There were different battles happening in different areas. You're following different characters, different types of battles, different structures, different like defense, offensive techniques. Like there's angsty stuff happening at the same time. There's dialogue, it's heated, it's fast, it's You're obsessed. You're immersed. I could not get out of it. I was like, I love this. I love this. And there's this moment where she like does this like zip line thing and lands on this boat and then fights. And I'm like, you're so epic. Like, I literally love you. Like, you're amazing. Anyways, I loved that moment. And I was living for it. And I was like, yes, it will be worth it. Like, I won't sleep for 48 hours or whatever, but it'll be worth it because this battle scene is so good. And the battle scene was so good. And then we got to the end. I'm gonna say like the last 15 pages wrecked the whole book for me. It was the stupidest wrap up I have ever read. I was like, no. I wanted this book to rip my heart out, shred it, and then feed it to the freaking lions, okay? What was this conclusion, resolution, whatever you want to call it? What was this ending? So upset. I'm still so upset about it. I did a reread of the series like 2 or 3 months after I read it because I could not get it out of my head, and I just didn't read the last 15 pages. I like did the ending in my mind because I couldn't live through it again because it was so bad. It made me so angry. Again, that was the point of like, no take backsies. If you have established something, you have to live with the consequences of it. You have to go through it. Some stuff can't be forgiven, and maybe it could be forgiven, but it can't be forgotten. I did not like it. I did not like it. And I was like, this literally came out of nowhere and fits 0% of the story. And then on the reread, I was like, okay, so maybe she laid a little bit of foundation in the first book for it, but not enough to make me happy. And I thought it was so out of place. It wasn't really that type of world for that type of ending to make sense. And I am mad about it. I don't remember what I rated this one, but I think that part tanked my review because I lived for that battle scene to the point where I was like basically making my roommate read it over my shoulder because I was like, I can't process this alone. Like, I need support here. My roommate's really good and he also loves stories. So after the ending, I was able to get it off my chest because I was like, you will not believe what this author just did. And he hates the take backsies too. I don't know what it's actually called. I'm calling it the take backsies. So then we both yelled about that for a little bit. I never know if I should recommend it or not because it really, some parts of it I absolutely love. It has me hooked, like in both books, just has me absolutely hooked. And then other parts, I'm like, I literally hate this and you are undoing all the hard work you have established throughout the books. I hate it, but I also love it. Hence this series, okay? Because it doesn't have to be books I recommend, books I love, books I hate, none. This is just, they live rent-free in my head, and they do. And I will not unhaul these books because I'm obsessed and I love them. They will continue to live on my shelves. If any part of this video you go, this sounds great, pick it up. You're in for a roller coaster, okay? Both by the plot and also by your emotions of what the author is doing to you. You're like, some of it you'll love and you'll be like, wow, you're amazing. I'm gonna read everything you've ever written. And then some of it you'll be like, I literally am never touching your books again because you have made me so upset and have broken my trust. Speaking of the author's backlist or forward list, whatever, I read these again last year, and then towards the end of last year, she came out with a third of the series. So again, these, when I picked them up, I understood them to be a duology. They follow the same characters. The third one in the series follows a different set of characters, but in the same world, and you actually are introduced to those characters in this one. I just don't know if it laid enough groundwork for me to be interested in those two characters based off of this one. I wasn't gonna go out of my way to seek this one out. When I initially finished the series, I did put it on like my calendar to tell me the day it was going to be released because I was like, I will pick that one up immediately because again, I was so immersed in this world. But the longer I sat on it, I was obviously less immersed because I wasn't reading the books anymore, and the take backsies were really like sinking in to be like, I don't know if I can live through another book where it's just like nothing actually has any consequence. But I wasn't really going to pick up this book. I kind of decided in the new year, I was like, that's one I'll probably remove from my TBR. But while I was like setting up this video, I found out that these are Kindle Unlimited books, which I didn't know. But that means the third one's on there, which means I don't have to go out of my way to find it and buy it. It's just part of something I already pay for. So I'm like, I might check it out then. So if you're interested, but you're like, on the fence, and you have Kindle Unlimited, costs you nothing extra to pick it up. That's my rent-free first video of the series of The Bridge Kingdom. So for this channel series, I need some feedback, okay? Because I don't know how I want to structure this. Because I could have done this video with heavy spoilers. I could have told you exactly like page numbers of what I liked, what I didn't, the character dialogue, like specific saying, instead of being like take backsies, I could give you an example of the take back. So I could do that, but then that would be heavy spoilers. So that would be like, have you already read the book and now you're tuning in to kind of like see other people's thoughts on it? Or would you prefer no spoilers? That would be like before you pick a book up, you see what people have to say about it to kind of convince you either way, or just to kind of get a vibe for it. So I keep it spoiler free. Or light spoilers, which is what I did now, which is like, I explained the one scene in detail, but it doesn't actually have any effect, or it's not like a big plot point that I've now spoiled, or like the ending or something like that. So going forward for this series, put in the comments down below 1, 2, or 3. So 1 is heavy spoilers. I literally in detail describe what I liked, what I didn't. 2, light spoilers, kind of what I did in this video. Like I'll say certain scenes or certain quotes, but it's not going to be like big plot points. Or 3, which is just no spoilers whatsoever. You want to go into the book, not necessarily blind, but spoiler free. So that will be really helpful. Please leave that down in the comments below. I post videos every Tuesday and Friday, so ring that bell for notifications, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye!